Hi, Soul Family. Okay. Whew, so I'm doing a little bit of rapid fire videos today. This is what I do when it comes to me. And I've been sitting on more of my story because I really didn't feel like I needed to share it. But as I'm sharing all these things, I feel like it's ready to come through now because things I'm sharing, especially about manifestation and everything and resonance, if anyone's on my channel who has really come from severe circumstances like I have, I think it's important you know that this is not just for lighty-dighty things like new jobs or careers or the resonance I'm talking about, the ability to shift realities does work in all scenarios, okay? So, often when I'm filming these videos and sharing these things, I'm always thinking about Afghanistan women. I'm always thinking about people in Gaza, and if they were watching these videos, what would they say, right? Because it's so much easier to talk like an American who's not in war, who is literally talking about shifting realities from one form of abundance to another, right? In a country that is not war-torn, and in a country that, is just not experiencing what other people are, right? You get the point. So let's go back a little bit, because if you look in the description of my channel, you'll see that it's actually catered towards people who are recovering from PTSD or narcissistic abuse, and really any form of violence. And I just want to clarify that yes, it is, but it's also pertinent to every human who is ready to step in their I amness. But the reason I spoke directly to the PTSD recovery is because I see this as an audience that is kind of left in the dust and is left to the tools of psychology, and they may not know that something else exists, right? Until they know. So this channel is a new tool in your tool belt, okay? If you've been diagnosed with PTSD, or if you've just experienced extreme upheaval, whether you're in a country that is going through war, or if you have experienced domestic violence, or if you've been in gang violence. I feel like I can relate to all that because of my experiences. And so I'm just gonna share a little bit more, okay? And the reason I didn't want to share this was because I don't want to identify with, I was scared that by sharing my story, I would still be identifying as a victim of these circumstances. Does that make sense? But I feel it's safe to share if I really call myself, that's the old self. That version of me no longer exists. I also know that when I share these things with you, these stories, I view them as, yes, these events occurred, this is what I perceived it as, but I don't believe that actually happened, because by saying that certain things happened to me, I'm giving power to that 3D reality, and I am stepping out of my God state, okay? So I'm choosing to kind of get off the pedestal just for a moment in order to be more relatable. But so basically, if you've seen in other videos, especially my shorts, when I first started this channel, I mentioned being so scared of people. Like, I was so terrified of humans. The events that led up to that were a series of invasive things that kept happening on my phone, in my email, and I was surrounded by people who I saw evidence of that I could not trust. These are people who are close to me, people who loved me, people who you think are there to protect you. And you see evidence that they could be the ones doing this. And when you don't know who's doing these strange things, literally I could see on my phone what was happening. There were times where I saw, I had an invasion of data. They installed apps on my phone. They were mirroring my screen. They were accessing files and offloading them. I could see the PDFs going off my phone. The PDFs, there's still actually a section, basically I have a business, okay, that I've been working on for 10 years, and I was pitching to investors, and all these things came off the screen. 10 years of music on my iCloud account was stolen. This is my soul, these are things that from my being I devoted to myself for a decade, okay? And when I also thought it was my husband. I imagine not knowing if it's your husband or not doing these things, right? Imagine not knowing if it's your family or not doing these things, right? Because when you tell them something, they gaslight you. And you think, oh my gosh, they must be in on this too. Then imagine reading a book on psychopaths just to try to understand the behavior that you're seeing around you, because nothing's making sense and your discernment is going off and you're recognizing that, okay, something's going on here. And then you find the answers in the psychopath book. You find that, yep, that matches exactly what I've been experiencing. So at some point, it's so funny, I'm actually telling this story in third person because it's easier for me, so I'll just roll with that. So I had chosen to flee a situation. And it's brutal when, I had no other choice. I had animals. I'm not the type of person to just leave my animals. Anyone who knows me, people still to this day, they're like, how are your dogs? And I'm like, oh. But now I recognize, right, that's just another timeline. My animals are always with me. Everything's within me, right? But yeah, I recall someone was following me. Okay, and remember finding things on your phone, we're seeing that your location was on all the time. You were connected to a Bluetooth for some reason, and you don't have Bluetooth. You find a message on all your devices. You're putting the pieces together. If you're tech savvy, basically, imagine before fleeing, I found all these things connecting to the dots, and I was like, oh fuck, this is what's happening. I literally am being tracked. I don't know what's going on. And you can't trust anyone. You can't trust anything. So all you can do is leave your devices because you know you're being tracked, and you run. You run. And someone was following me. I believe he had a weapon, and I ended up screaming to a neighbor's house. Then the neighbors called the police. The police thought I was crazy. They were crying. There were tears coming out of his eyes and said, I wish you the best or something, he looked helpless. The only person who was able to help me was a librarian. And eventually I met through people. I kept connecting with people who were there to help me, neighbors. And I stayed in their house for a while. But again, experiencing these really odd things, right? This person that I was staying with is planting seeds of fear in me. And you're when you're around people who are displaying psychopathic behavior, like someone who's planting fear in you when they're saying they're helping you, you have to learn how to outsmart them. You have to pretend that they are in control. You can't lead them on with your behavior. And you have to really collect yourself and be calm. And then you have to surrender to the universe because you're like, well, if this is what I'm in, I was to the point where after that event, I was so cornered. I was like, if this is for the greatest good of all, then I surrender. I trust you. And thank you. And the miracles I would see related a lot to more of nature spirits this whole time around. I prayed specifically for 2 male spirits to guide me and protect me, and 2 male horses came on the property. And I've always been someone I'm very connected to animals. They show up in my dreams a lot. and then they'll show up in real life. Years ago, actually, a horse appeared in my dream, a specific horse, and I saw that same horse years later, and it looked at me, and it was like, whoa, you're the horse in my dream. And it's like, I just think that's amazing. But anyway, so it was just like one chaotic thing after the other, right? And so I fled from one situation, then I had to leave another. This time I didn't like flee right out. I just left with a police escort because I didn't feel safe, connected with people. And then I was out of options. So I was forced to enter this really low women's shelter, which is like basically for homeless people, and be around people. It's just a really frequency that like didn't match at all my vibration. Does that make sense? Because I'm trying not to be judgmental, but it was like, I mean, people on drugs, people, it's just, you don't want to be there. You know, it's not like a cozy women's shelter. It's like it was not like that. Anyway, so what did I do? I left that place too. I just walked the hell out. And at this time, I was absolutely not in my right mind because I had been through so much that my mind snapped. I could not trust anyone because I had seen so much deception that I easily could pick out something that was like, you're not who you say you are, right? There was so much fear. It broke me. It broke me. Yeah. Yep. I remember the night I went into that hospital, there was such a state of paranoia. I was afraid to sleep. And that's obviously because when someone's following you, like it's, that's normal. But I was afraid to sleep because I thought someone was going to come into my room and try to kill me, So all that to say, I've been in that really dark place. And I'm so grateful now. And there were supernatural things happening too, by the way. And this is how I knew I was awakening. Because either there was could be two, right? Maybe there was some black magic stuff going on, people, who knows? But there were things happening to me that was definitely of the spiritual realm. And it was just like immense darkness. And I was like, what the heck? But all that to say, when it all led me, it was all my path unfolding to my spiritual awakening. I hadn't known it at the time. And so if you're in a state of great deception around you, if you've been in a state of great deception and you're like terrified of humans, if you've been in violent situations that have shaped you to act a certain way and behave a certain way, right? Because you've created a baseline for yourself where that's how you survived. You were violent to others because that's your survival, right? You cooperated with dangerous people because that was your survival. You can get out of that. But you can't get out of that taking actions without changing your resonance first. You have to change your internal resonance first. And I think this is why it's great that there's programs to help people, but if there's a spiritual component that is missing in all these nonprofits and in all these government efforts, right? And it's that people remaining as identity of victims rather than creators, conscious creators, as they're accepting the help. So if you're getting resources, if you're getting mentors, if you're taking actions without a new resonance within you, without being someone that is, you know what? I am peace. I am at peace. I am safe. I am whole. I am wealthy. I don't need to do this anymore. I don't need anything. If you don't operate without being whole first, the same things are going to keep happening. So it's internal resonance first, just as Jesus taught. So yeah, it's not about morality. It's not about being right or wrong or guilt or shame or like, no, forget all that. Forget all that. It's about frequency. And this is why I'm so passionate too. Legacy Brand Leader Blueprint, what I designed is for businesses and nonprofits to I help with branding because branding basically sets a coherence, heart and mind coherence between people and the creators of the brand, okay? So this is super powerful because just as Joe Dispenza teaches, this is how we manifest realities. It's also how you manifest realities on a massive scale, if it's done by corporations and nonprofits. So I help with branding to do that. And, you know, it's not mainstream, it's alternative. A lot of people don't seem to get it, but it's just my passion, so I teach that. So all that to say, if you've watched any of my videos, and if you watch me now, please understand, there's been a lot of work and effort. My intention and focus has been on within. And in order to get to the safety, I had to literally go to hell within. And you might even see hell around you. You might see things we call demons. You might see and experiencing things that are like, do other humans experience this? They may not, because they may not have to transmute the amount of light that you have. In Kabbalah, they say that actual darkness is just an overflow of light, because light can only be contained so much, right? And it's true, every vessel has a bandwidth, right? And then as we expand, we can hold more light, right? But where does the overflow go, right? Anyway, so there is no case where this doesn't work. But if you're in Afghanistan, if we're talking about war-torn countries, I do believe that's a collective consciousness. That's a collective effort. Think about the news. The news is collectively activating consciousness, intention, and resonance on these things that are undesired. Whereas if we have collective meditations and intentions and focus for the well-being of these places, it would change because we're all shifting a timeline collectively. Isn't that beautiful? So it's so cool to see us all shifting timelines individually, but it's like, okay, let's do this collectively now, right? So, wow, that's what my branding does. That's what I do for businesses. That's what I'm doing for the world. That's really cool. What else? I think that's it. I think I just wanted to share that. These practices are not just for our benefit, it's for the benefit of the collective. So thanks for watching, thanks for learning more about me. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next video.